In this video I'm going to be going over how to prime beer for bottle carbonation. I've got 2 jugs of beer, about 2 liters in each, which I made a long time ago, which I've finished fermenting, and I'm going to be carbonating them. So, the basic things you need are bottles, a clean, sterilized bottle. These bottles also need to be sterilized. Some beer. I've got a little scale here. You don't absolutely need one, but it's really good to have one. And priming sugar, which is, here it is. This is dextrose, which is also known as corn sugar. You can use table sugar, but sucrose adds an appley flavor, which can be good, can be bad, depending on what you're trying to do. Also need bottle caps and a capper, which... sorry. The first thing to think about is sterilization. I'll probably make a video to go over that, but I'll just explain what I did with all of everything that has foil on it. I rinsed out with 10% bleach solution, 90% water, and then dried in the oven. Very important to dry off all of that because you don't want bleach in your beer, for obvious reasons. Plus it kills the yeast and it won't even carbonate. I'm also going to be using a siphon tube, which is over here by my garden-y stuff. I've just soaked this in the same bleach solution, and I'm drying it out with my air pump. I'm just blowing air through the inside of it. That should be good now. I also don't want bleach from that getting in the mix. The air pump has a little filter in it which will hopefully filter out anything that will infect the beer, but there's really no guarantees. I do take some risks, and I haven't had any bottles explode yet, but it could happen. I just weighed out 10 grams of sugar. Yesterday's batch I put 8 grams in. I'm curious what the difference will work out to be. I mean, this scale's not that accurate for this size, so we'll see. Now I'm just going to pour this into this container. I've got the foil on top to keep dust and potential infections from falling in. So I'm just going to try to keep this on as much as possible, but it's not a big deal if it's off for a second while I pour the sugar in. So now I've got the siphon hose in this jug and running down to this bottle which I put the sugar in. I've got a little cover on this. Now, I'm trying not to siphon up any of the sludge on the bottom, and one way of siphoning is to put the whole hose in, cap it with a sterilized thumb, and then pull the hose out to the appropriate point, and then let your thumb off, and the hose should be full of fluid enough so that it creates a siphon. And there are bacteria in a human mouth which can infect a beer, so you're not supposed to put your mouth on a siphon to get it going. I'm not the best brewer, and I've screwed many things up along the way, so what I do is I take some isopropyl alcohol, put a little bit on a paper towel, and just rub that on my lips, and try not to get any saliva on my lips. Well, I do start the siphon, and that worked pretty well. Now I'm probably getting a lot of oxygen into this. At least it's not splashing, but it's flowing down the side. What I should really do is lift this bottle so the siphon is submerged. Now I've got the beer into this jug, which has the sugar in it, and I've let it sit for a little while so some carbon dioxide comes out of it, thereby forcing some of the oxygen out of the jug. And now I'm just going to swirl it around, try to agitate it, try not to splash it, to try to prevent oxygen from getting in it. But I'm not too worried about oxygen at this point. This beer has been fermenting for far too long and probably is already skunked. But And I'm also not planning on storing it for very long. I'll probably drink it shortly after it's fully carbonated. The nice thing about these clear glass jugs is I can look at the bottom and see if there's any crystals remaining. In the bottom of this fermenting bucket, or jug, I've got sludge and hops. I'm going to run these through a screen and get the hops out of there and freeze them. These were dry hops. I didn't boil these, so they still have bittering properties in them. The alpha acids have not been removed, so I can use them for bittering in another batch I do later on. This is, you know, really a cheapskate method of doing things, but that's who I am. Now I'm just going to siphon the beer into bottles. I'm just going to sterilize the outside of this with some rubbing alcohol, wipe it off, sterilize my lips, get this going, and there's the siphon. And this is a lot easier with two people. But what you gonna do? I should also be very careful not to aerate here, but I don't have a long enough siphon hose, or the table's too high, so it is gonna be a little bit full of oxygen. Set these aside, put the foil back over. And I think you get the idea. I'm just going to do this until there is no more beer in the jug. I have to make sure that the siphon hose is well at the bottom, and I might even tilt it up slightly on the opposite side in order to get the last little drip. Now it's just a matter of putting the tops on. I should have sterilized these before I put them in, but I didn't. So, well, let's see what happens. There's a lot of different types of cappers. I like this one. I got it at a local brew store. They had a few of these in for a little while. They're certainly not going to break anytime soon, which is more than can be said for the plastic ones. It's rather rusty though. It also works as the wine corker. Not as well as some that are really made for that, but I've used this as to press for other things too. And here's the last one. So there's just shy of a 6-pack of crappy beer I made myself. And I got about 5.5 from the other jug, so there you have it. Now I just need to wait, at least a week see if they're carbonated, and then I can refrigerate them and consume them. Since I have two that are very similar looking, I'm going to label them just with a permanent marker. I'm just going to write a letter on the top. This was the Sierra Nevada yeast. The other one was Nottingham. But since I only have two going, I'll just label the Sierra ones. I should note that clear bottles are really not ideal, especially for this, because this is a heavily hopped beer, and sunlight leads to skunking, or even fluorescent light, anything with UV light. But I do like them because I can see if the bottom's clean, which comes in handy, and I can also see if something's gone wrong with the color. I'm just going to be extra careful to keep them out of light, and I probably will just cover them with a rag while they're conditioning.